Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mattel Jurassic World review. Today we're taking a look at the Dino Trackers Wild Raw Nigersaurus. It's always a special occasion when Mattel decides to give us a new sauropod species. Sauropods are among my favorite types of dinosaurs. I'm always happy when there's a new one to add to my collection, and Nigersaurus is a very unique sauropod species. Now, I ended up picking up this figure off of Amazon. I think they retail for like $16.99 now, so I'll leave a link down below so you can pick up one of these for yourself. So let's go over the packaging really quick before we crack open this Nigersaurus. Comes in the Dino Tracker packaging. You got the Dino Tracker logo down here. Beta and blue Jurassic World logo is from a forest biome. I guess that's a thing with Dino Trackers. And on the back we have a picture of how its Wild Raw action works. And down here are the other figures in this Wild Raw way. We have the Regaloceratops, the Orcoraptor, and I think this is another Irritator. I'm not picking up that Irritator. I know it's a new sculpt, but come on, the Hammer Collection one just came out, which is far, far superior. Still looking forward to these two. I always do like adding new species to my collection. So enough about the packaging. Let's crack this figure open and take a closer look. And here is the Nigersaurus out of the packaging. I have to say Mattel has done a pretty good job with all their sauropod releases. This is a very nicely sculpted figure, chock full of nice details. Unfortunately, the paint scheme is about as bland as a mayo and white bread sandwich. For some reason, with the main line, it just seems like Mattel keeps cutting back on paint apps on these figures. Like, this figure is barely painted. You have a little bit of that light green on the torso, and you have, some of that dark green painted on the neck, and that is it. Figure is pretty much a giant dark green hunk of plastic, but I still really like this figure. Like I said, I'm a sucker for sauropods. They almost got the head shape right on this one. The front should be a little bit more flared out, and I wish they just added just a little bit of paint for the teeth inside its mouth. I think it would have really stood out because this is a very unique looking sauropod species. But all in all, I think it's a decent figure. And like I said, I always welcome any sauropod Mattel adds to the collection. Now for some measurements, this figure is 13.5 inches long from the tip of the tail to the tip of the snout, or 34.29 centimeters, and about 4 inches tall to the top of the hips, or 10.16 centimeters. So Nigersaurus in real life was around 30 feet long, or 9 meters. So I put this figure in the 1/26 scale range. And now let's zoom and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with the head sculpt. Head sculpt is all nicely done with a lot of nice scale variation, all large scales on the sides of the cheek, and it slowly goes very sensitive sound feature on this figure. Then you get some more fine scales on the underside of the lower jaw and along the neck. The eye is painted yellow with a black pupil. You can see the nostril sculpted right here. Very shrink wrap head. You can see the anal fenestra clearly. And here is a view of the head from the front. Really wish those teeth in the front had a little bit of paint on them, and the snout should be a little bit wider, but they got the general shape of what a Nigersaurus head looks like, so I'll give them credit on that part. And then going down to the neck, you have all these large spikes coming down the neck that get bigger about the midsection of the body. Then it tapers down to more osteoderms and spike rows all along the tail. Then you have a little bit of that light green paint on the torso, and that's pretty much it for paint on this figure. Front legs are cast in that light green plastic. If you zoom in, you can see little flecks of red mixed in there. They're very, very subtle. If you look at the back of the box, that red flecking is very, very prominent, but it seems to be really toned down for the official release. And then going down to the hind legs, you get some more large spikes and osteoderms. Lots of nice scale detail all over the figure. The toe claws are not painted in. Underside, you have a little bit of that light green paint just for the chest region. That's the speaker for the electronics. And then going down to the tail, you can see all these nice rows of spikes going all the way down to this nice short tail. So all around a very decent looking figure. Just wish the paint apps were a lot better. Now for articulation, articulation is pretty standard. Front legs can move forwards and backwards, and they are on a hinge that allows them to swing out for whatever reason you want them to. And then going down to the hind legs, it can move backwards and forwards, and you do have a little bit of a hip pivot in there. And then of course the tail does rotate, which is a completely useless articulation joint, and the rest of it is tied to the action feature. And to activate the action feature, there is a little rocker button on top of its back, and you get that weird carnivore sound from one of the sound effects, but the rest are pretty good. So yeah, pretty fun action feature other than those couple carnivore roars. I don't know why Mattel always has to throw them in on every figure that they release. But before I forget, here is the scan code. For those who want to scan to the fax app, let's raise the camera up just a little bit and zoom in on that. Moving on with comparisons, here it is with the Hammond Collection Robert Muldoon. And next up here is Safari Limited's take on Nigersaurus. This is what the animal probably looked like in real life. You can see the differences and how wide the face should be sculpted on the Mattel one versus the Safari one. But like I said, I think they pretty much nailed, the general shape and look of a Nigersaurus, other than giving it that Jurassic World awesome bro flair. And here it is with a couple of Mattel's other mid-range sauropods. We have the very elusive Nigersaurus and the Dominion Impellosaurus. So yeah, I think Mattel's been doing really fun takes on sauropods. Yeah, they're not accurate, but I always enjoy their takes on them. And here it is with the Dino Tracker Sinotyrannus. And next up here it is with the Megaraptor. And lastly, here it is with a nice Elaraz formation group shot. This is the formation Nigersaurus was found in. And these are the species that it lived alongside. We have Tyrannosaurus, Suchomimus, and Sarcosuchus. We are missing one that Mattel did make, is the Eocar. It's one of the only new species I refuse to pick up. I think that figure looks absolutely trash, horrible. It's like a dollar store dinosaur in my eyes. I know a lot of people like that figure. I just can't stand it. I didn't want to waste my money on it. It's like the only new species that I refuse to add to my collection. So final thoughts on Mattel's take on Nigersaurus. Hey, it's a fun little sauropod figure. The action feature works really good. The color scheme is, really not great. There's barely any paint apps on there, but they, pretty much nailed the general shape of what a Nigersaurus is. Those couple carnivore roars are just stupid in my opinion, but the sauropod sounds are really nice. All around, I am really enjoying this figure. And like I said at the beginning of the review, I ended up getting this from Amazon. The link to order that is down below in the description. So that will do it for the review. I have the Elasmosaurus that I have to review. I have a bunch of other new figures coming in. I am just getting absolutely slaughtered with pre-orders this month. All the Jurassic stuff is just hitting one after another, which means lots of reviews on the channel. So I guess that makes everyone happy. So stay tuned for all of that. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.